Islam Makhachev said that Ilia Topuria was given the #1 pound-for-pound ranking for marketing reasons. They're trying to build a fight with Islam and Ilia. Okay. Now, and I had this debate, by the way. I had this debate with Daniel. And I simply said, hey, Daniel, if the UFC wanted that fight, they'd have made that fight. Like, there is definitely a landscape, and it does appear that we're approaching that landscape. It's very easy to envision a time where that is a really massive fight, but 2 months ago, it wasn't. Two short months ago, Islam versus Ilia, it's a good fight. You do fine. You do fine piece of business. It would not set records in any category for the year 2025. It wouldn't have even been the biggest fight planned for 2025. Now, of course, 2 months ago, we also thought we were going to get Aspinall and Jones at the guard, but I'm only sharing for you. It wasn't that big of a fight. And so Daniel tells me how big that fight is now. He's telling me, and I said, well, Daniel, if they wanted the fight, then they'd make the fight. Like, what are you doing suggesting that you've got some crazy big fight out there that the UFC's not interested in? Since when? Like in what universe do you believe that the UFC would not make a really big fight? And Ilia versus Islam at the time when Ilia knew in his heart he was walking away from the belt. He hadn't revealed that to us, the audience, yet. He knew in his heart he was walking away, and he started doing media calling out Islam. Prior to revealing us that he was, in fact, going to come after Islam. Now, that was simultaneous or at least close enough. And this fact pattern has been greatly debated to the point that feelings have been hurt. Was Ilia officially a 55-pounder prior to or after the decision that Islam no longer was a 55-pounder? Now, as Islam tells the story, he's going to handle Jack and he's going to come back to 155. I would have a question as to why. Whatever stopped those two from fighting each other, what would be different then? And I'm well aware that the answer has laid within my question that it wasn't a big fight then and it would be a really big fight now. Like, I do understand that. But that would defeat the premise of the argument made by Islam. Islam is saying for marketing reasons, we moved Ilia up. But Islam would have that wrong. Islam does not have anything. Now, even if he is to gain a welterweight championship, if he returns to 155, he still doesn't have anything to put up. Ilia would be putting up the one and only title being contested. So if you were doing it for marketing reasons, you would keep Islam #1, so that when he comes to 55, he now has something to put up. Islam would have to put up the pound-for-pound ranking versus Ilia's putting up of a world championship. It's food for thought. And you really find yourself chasing the tail here. But I don't remember a time when Islam has been more excited or more vocal for a fight. It's just a stunning reversal from where he was 2 months ago when they could have made the fight. He says, no, I want to go up to 170 now. I've never seen an athlete. I've never seen it with my own eyes. And I come from one of the very few sports where you must get on a scale before you're allowed to play. I come from the only profession on earth that doesn't land an employer in a lawsuit when he publicly weighs somebody in before they let them go do their job. And never have I witnessed somebody have success at a weight class and then elect to lose weight. If Islam was to beat Jack and Islam was to be the 170-pound champion, the idea that he would drop to 155, for me, is really hard to imagine. Though I know if you ask Islam today, he'll say that's precisely what he's going to do. But he also doesn't know life on the other side of the tracks. He doesn't understand how much more pleasant he will be as a person, how much more enjoyable his experience in this sport will be, is when he gets to have 15 pounds more. And it's tough to believe that he's going to cut that weight and go down to 155, not to mention it just puts you in the exact same situation we were at 2 months ago, in a very situation that you tried to avoid, which is to have a champion leaving his weight class. They did not want Islam and this whole double champ thing to be. They didn't want that for Ilia. And I know you've had people and you've even had marketing departments try to rework the story. But Ilia was not, is not, and never was champ. He was a champion of 2 divisions. He was not a simultaneous 2 weight class world champion. And for whatever reason of that importance, for whatever reason that the policy wants to be stuck to, it was stuck to. They took that belt right off Islam. The reason that Ilia Topuria moved into the number 1 pound for pound had nothing to do with marketing of Islam. You've got a guy in Ilia Topuria who could be holding 3 belts. He could be holding 45, BMF, and 55. As it is, he holds 1 belt. But when you juxtapose that against Islam, he is holding no belts. So, for now and for a short period of time, you cannot have Islam as your number 1 pound for pound. That would not only outdo Ilia Topuria, that would place him higher than any of your current champions. You would be taking a guy who's unranked in a division, who does have the status of being number 1 contender, but you are going to say that holds up stronger than any of your current champions, including Ilia, who could have 2 and a BMF title right now. And I'm just explaining this to you. I'm sharing this for you. That number 1 pound for pound status was not given for marketing reasons. And the first thing that Islam would have to do to be considered a pound for pound king is he would have to be the king of a division. He can choose it. But as of right now, he's not. Any weight class, any way you want to word it. Ilia is a reigning world champion. Islam is a number 1 contender. Those, for today, are the facts.